which a lot of fans believe will be John Cena defeating The Rock to win his first WWE Championship in months. To me, yes, I'll agree with fans' assumption of John Cena needing to win this match for momentum because he's been unable to gain any substantial momentum from 2012. This has been the worst year of John Cena's 10-year run in professional wrestling. The other 9 years were infamous because he accomplished everything. I see what WWE have done with John Cena. They're trying to change it up a little bit and make the outcomes of his matches more unpredictable. So they're having him lose everything. And now, with WrestleMania 29 fastly approaching, John Cena needs to win this match for momentum. The only bit of momentum he was able to attain was a victory over Brock Lesnar in a tremendous UFC-style match. I give Brock Lesnar and John Cena a tremendous amount of credit for giving us the caliber of a match they gave us at the 2012 Extreme Rules pay-per-view. It was worthy the nomination it got for Match of the Year in 2012, kind of like how The Rock and John Cena Part 1 and The Undertaker and Triple H Part 2 and Manera inside of Hell in a Cell were worthy also. I think that John Cena needs to win this match for momentum. I agree with wrestling fans on that. What I don't agree with is the possible outcome of the match, because I think that The Rock has definitely earned every accolade that he's achieved, and I think that if The Rock is to defeat John Cena at WrestleMania 29, that will go a long way in solidifying The Rock as one of the greatest of all time. Another thing this storyline could be based on, apart from the outcomes that wrestling fans have been coming up with about John Cena is going to overcome adversity and defeat The Rock, is that this storyline could be based on John Cena reaching the point of realization where he'll never be as infamous as superstars like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. On WrestleMania 29, John Cena could realize that he will never be as infamous as The Rock and never be able to defeat The Rock. I know there is a chance of that not happening, but that is what I hold the belief of. I hold the belief that at WrestleMania 29, John Cena will realize he's not going to ever be able to be as infamous as The Rock or be able to defeat a superstar like The Rock, because the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock will never have their legacies surpassed for all their accomplishments in professional wrestling. At WrestleMania 15, they had an incredible match that really put the Attitude Era on the top of the wrestling industry, and I think that it was incredible seeing the rivalry. And if it wasn't for that rivalry, superstars like Randy Orton, John Cena, and many of today's top new talent initiative superstars would have never been given something called opportunity. So I think that having a superstar like John Cena defeat The Rock at WrestleMania would be an insult to legacies of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and many others. To me, legends like The Rock and Steve Austin need to be left untouchable in the wrestling industry, especially how The Rock came back and seemed like he hadn't forgotten who he originally was or where he came from. The Rock returned just as good as he ever was. He left the business 7 years ago to pursue a career outside of professional wrestling, and to me, when he came back in 2011 and had 2 matches, a tag team match against The Awesome Truth with his partner John Cena, and that match at WrestleMania 28, to me, The Rock looked as good as he ever was, and he was The Rock that I remembered from eras like the Attitude Era and the early thousands when The Rock had his final run as champion in the company. Something else to take in consideration, it's been 10 years since The Rock has been WWE Champion. If he defeats CM Punk, this will be his 10th reign as WWE Champion. To me, The Rock needs his 10th run as champion to be memorable, not to be 1 month long and then go to lose the championship at WrestleMania 29 to John Cena. It makes sense to give Cena momentum because he hasn't been WWE Champion in forever, but you really want The Rock's 10th title run to be remembered for a title run similar to Kane, only a little bit longer, that lasted about 30 days, and The Rock cops up the WWE Championship to John Cena. I'd like to see John Cena chasing The Rock for the WWE Championship, apart from just one encounter at WrestleMania where John Cena defeats The Rock, which is the most obvious outcome. I'd like to see John Cena kind of chasing The Rock after WrestleMania into pay-per-views like Extreme Rules, and then pay-per-views to follow after that. And then eventually, if John Cena is going to defeat The Rock, he defeats him at an unexpected date, at an unexpected pay-per-view. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see The Rock's 10th title run being remembered for being defeated by John Cena at WrestleMania. That to me would be a waste of $60 or $70 for a WWE pay-per-view. When you're paying that much for a pay-per-view, you need unpredictable outcomes. You need superstars showing up that you wouldn't expect to show up at WrestleMania. You don't want to have a pay-per-view purchase that have obvious outcomes. You want to see something that is unpredictable, and that's what years like 2000, 2001, 2002, and even years after that up until at least 2005 were based on. The fact that the matches and their outcomes were very unpredictable because you had superstars that were very difficult to predict an outcome between competing, especially in championship matches for events like WrestleMania. Last year's outcome to WrestleMania 28 was pretty obvious, with The Rock having the home field advantage, The Rock having the fans in the palm of his hand. You could really tell by the crowd response in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania 28 what the outcome of the Rock-John Cena match was, and apart from that, you had The Rock coming back in his first one-on-one match since at least 2004. So I think that it was pretty obvious. I want to see this match be very unpredictable, kind of like how one week you're leaning in the direction of John Cena has a chance of winning, and the following week you're leaning in the direction of The Rock having a chance of winning. Usually, especially in the early 90s, matches were pretty predictable, especially the week before a pay-per-view is when you could tell who was going to win a match. No matter who got the better of the other one, that would be the guy that would lose the following Sunday at the pay-per-view. Now it's not so predictable as it was. The first real predictable match was Cena and The Rock that I've seen in years. Now if somebody gets the better of them the week before the pay-per-view, the guy that gets the better of someone might come out on top at the pay-per-view. There still is a chance of a bit of an unpredictable outcome. But Cena and The Rock's match to me last WrestleMania was a little bit too predictable. Change it up a little bit, make it a little bit more unpredictable, and make the pay-per-view worth the amount that you're going to be charging people to see it for. In addition to The Rock and John Cena, have Steve Austin and CM Punk. Have another match on the pay-per-view that fans want to see in the way of a fantasy prediction. I want to see some of these fantasy matches come to fruition. Another big fantasy match that I'd like to see come to fruition is Batista and Brock Lesnar. We have seen them in the UFC compete and reach the top of the highest accolades in the UFC. Now it's time to carry over a feud from the UFC into the WWE, with Batista and Brock Lesnar being as good as they are in 2012, 2013. We need to see some more fantasy matches happen. To me, The Rock and John Cena is kind of getting old. We have seen it now for the past at least 3 WrestleManias, and I think that with the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania fastly approaching, the date of it will be announced at WrestleMania 29. We need something different happening in the WWE. To me, at least over the last 5 years, WrestleMania has seen too many sequels. It's seen too many times where history has had a tendency to repeat itself. I'm fine with history repeating itself. Don't take anything I've said about history repeating itself out of context. I just don't think you should have a pay-per-view with the tagline "History repeats itself" for a company that has a tendency to allow history to repeat itself as often as WWE have. We saw it with Triple H and Randy Orton for WrestleMania 25. We saw it with The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker and Triple H over the period of 4.5 years. And now we're seeing it with The Rock and John Cena. History needs to get out of the habit of repeating itself. Leave history in the archives and start coming up with new ideas for the WWE. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that history repeats itself a little bit too much, and I don't want to see that be the tagline of WrestleMania 29. If you've seen any GFXs that fans have created for WrestleMania 29, we have featured a lot of them in our video commentaries, especially for The Undertaker and John Cena and CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin. One thing you will notice about the GFXs are they include the tagline "History repeats itself" when The Rock faces Brock Lesnar and The Rock faces John Cena. I don't want to see that. I want to see new things put in place for WrestleMania. I want to see legends return we haven't seen in seemingly forever, and I want to see everybody have a consistent and important role at WrestleMania. If Steve Austin's coming back for WrestleMania 29, have him face CM Punk in a legitimate match. To me, with how Austin's been performing in movies outside of professional wrestling, he can be in a match against CM Punk that lasts the equivalent amount of time of 15 minutes. We have seen Stone Cold Steve Austin in some of the most incredible matches, especially at WrestleMania. Don't have him come out at WrestleMania and just have a 5-minute match. I don't want to see Steve Austin return at WrestleMania and be the special referee like he was for Lawler and Cole at WrestleMania 27. That was the last time we saw him on WWE television, and it was in a role that was very unbeneficial to wrestling fans, and especially to Stone Cold Steve Austin. If he was coming back as a wrestler more often at WrestleMania, similar to The Undertaker and Triple H, who wrestle on average now once or twice a year, I would understand it, and I'd be more excited for Stone Cold Steve Austin returning. But the thing is, he's returning in roles that are very unbeneficiary. If you're going to have unpredictable returns, then have them be unpredictable. Like have Brock Lesnar, for instance, wrestle Triple H in a rematch from SummerSlam 2012 at WrestleMania 29. At the end of the match, after Brock Lesnar defeats Triple H for the second match in a row, have Batista unexpectedly return, Batista bomb Brock Lesnar, and set up for Batista versus Lesnar in a UFC match on WWE at WrestleMania 30. That would be a fantastic way of celebrating over 3 decades of the most prestigious sports entertainment event ever. I think that would be incredible. If you're having unexpected returns of unexpected superstars that we haven't seen in forever, have them return as full-time competitors. I know that athletes are very difficult to come by, the credibility of The Rock and John Cena, but you need to have wrestlers having matches at WrestleMania that can actually wrestle. Not legends who are way past their prime like Mick Foley and others. If wrestlers are returning at WrestleMania, have them be in more beneficiary roles, and have your WrestleMania matches be against wrestlers who can give you a decent half-hour to 45 match, similar to The Undertaker Shawn Michaels matches and The Undertaker Triple H matches from the previous 4 years at WrestleMania. To me, there is a lot of stuff that needs to be improved and reach a point of improvement between now and the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania. One of the biggest things are legends returning in very unbeneficiary roles. If you had a legend return as the commissioner or general manager of either Raw or SmackDown, I could understand it a little bit more. But I don't want to see legends returning like Mick Foley and Stone Cold Steve Austin just to be a special referee. To me, that is an insult to their legacy. If Mick Foley and Stone Cold are coming back to have matches at WrestleMania, that's an entirely different thing. But if they're coming back just to be special referee or to promote something like a book or a film they've got created outside of professional wrestling, that is very, very unbeneficiary and a waste of time. I don't want to see it. It's almost if you're just kind of trying to make an insult out of people like Mick Foley and Stone Cold Steve Austin, who contributed so much to the wrestling industry, especially during the Attitude Era. If they're coming back, have them come back in roles that are very beneficial